This was the last normal morning in the history of Earth. Dawn broke with golden light across endless flooded plains in the north. Herds of Triceratops grazed peacefully, their massive frills and sharp horns catching the early sunlight. Beside them, herds of long Alamosaurus moved along the meandering rivers, eating the dense, lush vegetation. Armored Ankylosaurus lumbered slowly like living fortresses, their heavy tails swinging gently with each step. Further away, dome-headed Pachycephalosaurus roamed the open fields. Meanwhile, industrious Ornithomimus built shallow nests in the sand and protected them from predators. Deeper in the dense subtropical forests, the air grew thick and humid. Feathered Microraptor glided gracefully between branches, their dark feathers flashing in the filtered sunlight. Beneath the ferns and fallen logs, tiny early mammals scurried quietly, small, alert, and watchful. However, one force stood out above all others, the Tyrannosaurus rex. Built of muscle and instinct, it ruled a world that had never challenged its power. The Cretaceous landscape was filled with intriguing prehistoric creatures. High above, giant pterosaurs soared on enormous wings, gliding effortlessly through the clear sky. In the warm, shallow seas to the south, massive marine reptiles ruled the underwater world with powerful fins and razor teeth. Life filled every corner in perfect balance. This was a world alive with motion, sound, and endless growth. Herbivores shaped the landscape. Predators maintained order. Every creature had its place. Every heartbeat carried purpose. It was balanced. It was survival. It was a system perfected over millions of years. Yet beneath this perfect harmony, an invisible threat had already been set in motion. Far beyond the peaceful blue sky, in the cold silence of deep space, a massive fragment of rock was racing toward our planet. Born from violent collisions in the distant asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, it had traveled millions of years across the emptiness of the solar system, silent, unseen, and completely unstoppable. While the Earth continued its gentle rotation, life below carried on as usual. Mountains slowly rose, oceans shifted their shores, chains of volcanoes erupted in fiery displays, reshaping the land with rivers of molten rock. Prehistoric creatures were still busy with their lives. On the vast northern steppes, large Ankylosaurus moved slowly and cautiously in groups. Farther south, large herds of hadrosaurs waded through shallow rivers and wetlands. In the lush forests and swamps, smaller wonders thrived. Quick predators darted through the undergrowth. Early feathered birds tested their wings among the branches. And deep beneath the roots and fallen leaves, tiny early mammals stayed hidden, nervous, watchful, but quietly holding the seeds of a future they could never imagine. This world felt eternal, unbreakable, timeless. But in the vastness of space, it would take only one small intruder to shatter everything. That intruder was now drawing closer. Pulled by Earth's gravity, it accelerated faster and faster. It passed the orbit of the moon. As it plunged toward the upper atmosphere, the air in front of it began to compress violently. Its surface glowed brighter and hotter, turning into a blazing fireball against the morning sky. The dinosaurs continued their daily lives below, walking, foraging, hunting, completely unaware that their ancient reign was about to end abruptly and permanently. Its trajectory was locked dead center on Earth. The air in front of the massive rock began to compress violently, superheating until its surface ignited. From space, it left a brilliant trail, growing brighter with every passing second. Traveling at over 70,000 kilometers per hour, the 10-kilometer-wide asteroid was no longer a distant threat. It had become a blazing fireball, unstoppable and growing larger by the minute. Its target lay far to the south, the shallow coastal waters off the Yucatan. But its fury would reach every corner of the continent. On the wide Hell Creek plains of ancient North America, the dinosaurs were living through what would be their final dawn. Herds still grazed. Predators still watched from the shadows. No one looked up. No one could possibly understand what was coming. Then the sky began to change. The soft morning light turned strange, shifting into an eerie, unnatural glow. Birds that had been singing moments earlier fell completely silent. Animals froze mid-step, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. At the river valley known as Tanis, in what is now North Dakota, something even more unsettling happened. The calm water surface suddenly rippled without any wind. The air grew warmer. A distant, growing roar rolled across the plains. Low at first, then deeper, like thunder that never ended. Something was terribly wrong. Only moments remained before the sky would turn to fire. Then it happened. The asteroid tore through the final kilometers of sky in a heartbeat. A blinding white flash erupted, brighter than 1,000 suns combined. It swallowed the entire horizon, erasing the morning light in an instant. The impact was cataclysmic. The massive rock slammed into the shallow seas with unimaginable force, unleashing energy exceeding 100 million megatons, more powerful than every nuclear weapon humanity has ever built, multiplied many times over. The sea exploded violently. Entire schools of fish vaporized in an instant. Massive marine reptiles like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs were hurled and shattered by the horrific blast as the seabed was torn apart. A devastating shockwave exploded outward at supersonic speed, racing across the continent. Trees were instantly incinerated. The air turned into superheated plasma, burning everything it touched. From the Gulf, a monstrous tsunami rose, surging inland with terrifying speed and fury. It swept up every living thing, carrying their shattered remains deep into the heart of the land. Then came the firestorm from above. Millions of glowing fragments, ejecta ripped from the impact site. Were hurled into space and rained back down across the entire planet like a blazing meteor shower. Thousands upon thousands of incandescent rocks fell, turning the day into an endless inferno. The forest erupted into a fierce blaze in mere seconds. Temperatures skyrocketed to over 1,000 degrees Celsius. The air became stifling, impossible to breathe. Amidst the chaos, a lone Tyrannosaurus rex struggled to flee across the plains, only to be snatched up and hurled to the ground by the ferocious winds. The entire herd of horned dinosaurs was swallowed alive by walls of fire in just a few seconds. There was no escape, no shelter, no mercy. From the scorched continents to the boiling oceans, from the deepest forests to the highest skies, not a single place on this planet could escape the nightmare. In a single moment, Earth had become a living hell. In the hours and days that followed, the Earth itself seemed to scream in agony. Relentless earthquakes continued to shake the ground without mercy. Billions of tons of dust and sulfur blasted into the atmosphere, completely blotting out the sun. The once bright blue sky turned into a thick, choking wound of smoke and ash. The reign of fire may have ended, but a new nightmare had only just begun. Photosynthesis stopped almost instantly. Across the continents, plants withered and died in massive waves. Rivers boiled and evaporated. The ground became so hot, it cracked and flowed like molten glass. Temperatures on the surface had exceeded 1,000 degrees, turning the planet into a temporary furnace. Now, in the suffocating darkness, the giants began to fall. Herds of triceratops that once thundered across the plains now lay motionless on the gray, lifeless earth, starved. The mighty Tyrannosaurus rex, once the undisputed ruler, wandered weakly through the charred landscape, its powerful body growing thinner with every hopeless step. Hunger, thirst, and pain slowly eroded the little remaining strength left. From the rulers of the planet, they were reduced to the bottom of the food chain in just a few short weeks. Only the smallest creatures had any chance of survival. Deep in burrows and underground tunnels, tiny early mammals huddled together. In stagnant pools and rivers, frogs and salamanders clung to life. Hardy insects burrowed into the damp soil, waiting silently in the darkness. While the giants perished above, These forgotten survivors endured below, hidden, patient, and quietly holding on to the future. The dust and ash remained suspended in the atmosphere for months, then years. It blocked nearly all sunlight, plunging the world into an endless net. Winds carried sulfur and poison across the globe. Entire food chains collapsed one after another. The age of the colossal dinosaurs was over. The Earth had become a cold, silent tomb. But beneath the gray blanket of death, the first faint heartbeat of a new world was already beginning to stir. After many long months of darkness, the thick dust finally began to settle. Soft rain fell across the land, gently washing away the layers of ash. Ferns and moss burst into fresh green over the scorched ground. Hidden seeds, buried beneath the soot, stirred and pushed upward toward the light. Life returned, slowly, carefully, and beautifully fragile. Small mammals that had hidden in burrows now appeared more often, moving across the recovering plains. The surviving birds, once again, took to the skies, filling the silence with new songs. Slowly, an entirely new ecosystem began to take shape. The world did not end. It changed, to give rise to even more extraordinary prehistoric creatures. Millions of years later, on these same continents, life had quietly rewritten its story. Where colossal giants once ruled, smaller, faster, and more adaptable creatures now thrived. The age of the great reptiles had passed. The age of mammals had begun. Today, when we stand before the exposed rock layers of the Hell Creek Formation, we can still see that thin, remarkable boundary. The iridium-rich line that marks one of the most important moments in Earth's long history. A quiet scar reminding us of the day everything shifted. The greatest catastrophe in our planet's history changed everything. But life always finds a way to heal, to adapt, and to rise again. It never gives up. It transforms. It begins anew. And from that moment of profound change, the long journey that would one day lead to us, creatures capable of wonder, memory, and dreams had quietly started.